Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Roy Canny, and with me as always is Rob. Hype. And we have a special guest tonight, Chad Hoverter. What's going on, man? Awesome. Super stoked to have you on the show. So if anybody doesn't know who you are or what you do, can you give us a little spiel about what you do in the board game industry? Huh. So for some reason my streaming thing is messing up and they can't hear you guys. It looks fine on my side, but I guess I'll start this thing over. Hold on a second. Let me stop this.
Let's see what chat says.
Nice. So welcome back to the Epic Gaming Night podcast. We have Chad with us and Rob. So Chad, if people don't know who you are, let them know let them know.
All right. I am.
Chad with us.
Whoops. I'm Chad. Chad Hoverter. I am a miniature sculptor for primarily board game companies, and I do that full time. So that's who I am and what I do.
Awesome. So yeah, super stoked to have you on the show. I've played a ton of games with your miniatures in them, and it's always fun to play a game with miniatures in the board game. It just brings the board game to life, and I'm sure we'll talk a ton about all the different games you've worked on and the ideas behind sculpting miniatures here in a minute. But we're going to talk a little bit about some of the games we've been playing as well. So
Okay.
I know that you said you got to play a new exciting game just tonight, Chad. Do you want to start us off with that?
Yep. A little bit of cutout there, but I think you're wanting to talk about the games, and so
yeah. So
that was a lot of fun.
Dinosaur Island.
Oh man, yeah, it was good. We I don't know who's played it or not, but it's Euro worker placement. In a lot of little levers to pull, but it was a fun little game. Yeah.
Awesome.
Having some. Yeah. So that's what I've played recently, or at least just today. I've also enjoyed recently Islebound, which is
nice.
part of the Above and Beyond and Near and Far series.
How did you like it?
And
Roy, this is not good, man.
Yeah, I know. We're having a lot of lag on the
light
Skype
and
feed.
flavor. Yeah. God, I hope it's not me. It probably is.
Skype internet, please come back to us.
You keep going in and out, Chad.
Jeez. I'm sorry about that.
It's going great now.
Yeah. Talking about Islebound still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what'd you think about it?
I think it's pretty cool. I like it. It's not like super chunky or anything, but I like the flavor of it. I like the actions involved. It's a pretty quick game to play. I really like the non-combativeness of it. Combat doesn't really hurt the other players. So while it is not a cooperative game, you also can't go after and really hurt somebody by attacking them a bunch, because attacking doesn't really it benefits you, but it doesn't hurt the other player very badly. So I like that aspect of it. It makes it interesting for me, and I love the theme. I love piratey stuff, so that's cool. And, have you guys played?
I have not played. I actually just played Near and Far for the first time a couple of weeks ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I had a blast with it. And so it makes me
game.
interested to go back and play some of their older games and stuff, or some of the other games in that universe. I heard Near and Far is better than Above and Below. And so I may not check that out. But Islebound has caught my eye. I like the whole
really
story.
Pretty game, too.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
It's crazy how Ryan Lockett does like everything for those games. He does the art, he does the design, he does the production, he does all that stuff together. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like one guy does
and I like
everything.
That's really cool. I did not know that. That's really nice. I like the way that the pieces or the characters can be played in the other games.
Yeah.
So all the characters from Islebound can be played in, I think it's Near and Far.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. So, yeah, I really like those line of games, and hoping someday to get around to Near and Far campaign, because that sounds fun. So.
Yeah. I love the story aspect of Near and Far,
Those
so
are
it's
cool.
really cool to...
Interested in lately.
He's interested in it lately?
Nice.
Is that what it sounded like to you?
Yes. Oh, man, I'm sorry, guys out there that we're having Skype issues. But hey, hopefully we can chop this up and make it awesome.
Sorry, guys.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Hey, still not as bad as Stephen Avery. We had Stephen Avery on the show, and we were recently talking about how terrible his internet was. But it's awesome. Cool.
I love Steven. But yeah, he still has dial-up internet. Sort of, not joking.
So Rob, what have you been playing?
Maybe I should turn off my...
Yeah, get mom off. Yeah. No, and it was awesome. After we had Steven on for like the next couple of weeks, he tried to hijack our other shows and call in.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Stephen
such a
Avery's
punk, but
character.
I love him to death. I love him to death.
I do too.
If I were to go to a place and hang out, definitely Steven's in that group. I've gotten to hang out with him actually several times now, and he's a blast. He's a fun guy. So recently, Chad, does your wife play board games with you, or your family play board games with you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Neither
I'm
is
not
mine.
into it.
Neither is mine. Like my wife, she'll play like party games. Like if we have friends over and stuff, we'll do like wits and wagers or telestrations and stuff. But that's about it. Well, we watched this show on Netflix called Travelers, where people from the future, I don't know if you've seen the show, but people from the future come back and take over the bodies of people that were just about to die. And they basically try to stop these atrocities from happening, right?
Gotcha.
My wife really got into the show. She was like, oh, man, that's really cool. I was like, oh, you like time travel? And you like trying to stop and solve stuff. And she's like, yeah, that'd be fun. I said, well, I've got a board game for you, babe. And she was like, what? She's like, I don't know. And so I was like, hey, we try this game with it. See, so the game I'm talking about is Time Stories. And I've played a couple of expansions for Time Stories, but I've never played the base game of Time Stories.
Right.
And so I actually bought this game for my wife and I to play with another couple. I was like, this would be a fun little like date night or whatever. We could all just hang out and play games. Well, that's exactly what happened. We went out, we got sushi, we came back and we played Time Stories, and my wife loved it. Now, I will say it was difficult to play Time Stories with a newborn and also with the 5-year-old running around.
Yeah.
Should have helped us watch the newborn a little bit more. And so next time we play an expansion of Time Stories, which Roy may be saying, hey, can I borrow some sooner than later?
Yeah.
Next time we do that, we'll probably get a sitter just because that was tough. But we had an absolute blast. And afterwards, like my wife's asking me about other expansions. And I don't want to go too much into Time Stories other than for those people that are listening that have never played Time Stories, you are from the future and you're going back into the past to solve different faults that are being created in the past, and it is your job to try to correct them. and it is a fantastic full cooperation mystery game, whether it's a murder mystery or whether it's like a puzzle type mystery or something. They have different expansions and different scenarios, but we loved it. Oh, and the couple that we played with, the other wife, she was a paralegal, and so we had the best notes in the world.
That's
awesome.
My gosh.
We knew where absolutely everything was, and I think that's what our problem was, because we had too many notes. We literally tried to search for everything. Like, we never tried to do the clue, and that was our problem with the game. We're like, no, we got to go here. No, we got to write down this. I mean, she even wrote down what color the clothes were.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, I mean, we had 4 pages of notes. It was amazing. And not to give spoilers or anything away, but when I say we did everything, even all the time waste stuff that you kind of think is a setup.
That's kind of what we did the first time we played too. We're like, we haven't opened this door. I know it's not the way we need to go, but let's go that way anyway because I want to see what's behind that door.
We did that, and then we talked to people that we shouldn't have talked to. We fought people we shouldn't have fought. We didn't fight people, and then we realized, nope, next time when we go back, we're going to beat up that person. And we did. We had a blast, and I really enjoyed the fact that, like, my wife was into it. Like, the game was fun. Like I said, I've played expansions, and the expansions were good, but, like, it's always fun when you can get not necessarily, like, somebody who's on the sidelines, because she's not so much on the sidelines. She's just on the party end of it. And I got her into a little bit deeper of the game, and so had a blast. So I played Time Stories, and I just don't want to talk too much about it because it's one of those games where if you do talk about the game, it could ruin stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, it's a one-time play game because it's kind of like once you know the mystery and once you solve it, like you know what's going on.
Now, I will say this. It was about 11:30 at night, and I texted Roy, and I was like, hey, man, are you awake? And I was like, all right, we had to have missed something. Like my wife, she had gone out of the other room to feed the baby or something like that. And I was like, hey, man, we can't find this one thing.
And I haven't played this scenario in like a year or more. So I was like, let me go grab my box. And I was like sitting in the floor, sifting through cards to try to help him out.
We had everything, but
I was trying to help him out, but also not spoil it at the same time. So I'm like, let me kind of ask questions, but not spoil things. Cause like, that's the big part of the game is you want to try to figure out the stuff yourself, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, and the terrible thing is we had the answer in front of us for an hour and a half. Just weren't looking at it.
That's how we were.
We're not looking at the answer because we're looking at, let's go find this. Let's go talk to this person. All right. Because sometimes when you go back, there's multiple options. And so when we went back, we did everything opposite of what we did the first time to find out the other options. And we had all the answers. We could have beaten the game on our second run. We beat it on our third run, but we could have beaten the game easily on our second run with like 10 plus time left. With all the notes and everything, we were not paying attention to the stuff that was literally right in front of us. And so it's a great game. If you ever play Time Stories, pay attention to everything and describe well what's on your card.
So 4 pages of notes wasn't enough?
It was
right.
It was too much. It was almost too much because like we would go back and forth looking at stuff and asking questions, and our whole objective was just to explore. And when we couldn't explore more except for doing this one thing, and we couldn't figure out how to do the one thing, we were like, hold on, we got to be missing something. And then that's when I texted Roy, and I was like, crap, like this. And everyone still had a blast. Everyone had a great time. And so
you dialed in the cheat code, which was my telephone number. No, I'm just kidding.
We did. Well, but see, here's the great thing, though. Here's the great thing. Now that we've played, and now that my wife knows how to play, and this other couple knows how to play,
it'll be easy to jump in, and it'll be a lot quicker.
It'll be a lot easier to jump in. And that's what's so great about the game is the expansion is pretty much just cards.
Yeah.
The expansion is pretty much just cards.
Just a deck of cards.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the board and everything else is the same, and so we got all that down, and so we're excited. And for some of the people in chat, I'm still waiting on all of my Kickstarter stuff to come in. Pretty upset about it. Roy got his copy in yesterday, and mine's still not even here.
I got my copy of Rising Sun in yesterday and did a live stream on our Instagram of me unboxing it. It was pretty fun. Dude, there's so many miniatures in that game.
Well, and see, I got everything on Rise of the Sun except for the art book. That hasn't come in yet. People all over Europe and the United States have gotten their copies of The Walking Dead, which I backed in June of 2016.
They lost your address, Rob.
Yet. Bro, if they did, I'm going to burn Cryptozoic down. And then Lords of Hellas. Haven't gotten my Lords of Hellas in yet. And I backed that. I mean, I've backed several projects, so...
They just don't like your address, Rob. That's what it is. You got to move.
I'm what, 15 miles from you? Not even.
Yeah.
I'm less than 15 miles.
I thought
20-minute drive. But
so Rising Sun, we literally have like everybody in our immediate game group backed it. I have people at my church that backed it. I have people from extended game groups who backed it. Everybody backed it, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that got it. And it's not because I do board game media. It's just I got the game. I don't know how that works, but
you got lucky.
Got lucky. I'm sure it'll be.
Well, I
did not get in on that.
So
one,
much comes in it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be.
Their
good.
games.
I went.
So big.
2017 was not a good year for me.
Bag full of extras.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of sculpting time right there.
You do a lot with Flat Hat Games, right?
I used to since the buyout since they became part of Asmodee. Asmodee only works with digital media. They don't do any traditional anymore. And at the time that happened, I was not ready to do digital yet. So
you're getting up to Steam.
Missed a couple of games with trying to get my chops on the digital media going, and I'm pretty much there now. I'm working mostly in digital right now. So next time they have a game, I might get on the short.
Gotcha.
Well, I know you did Tail Feathers.
Yes.
Tail Feathers was absolutely gorgeous game. I'm trying to think who did Stuffed Fables.
That was digital.
Yeah, I didn't get to work Stuffed Fables, unfortunately. Yeah,
that's another game
I really wanted to.
That still has not come in yet, and other people have gotten their copy.
Oh, gee. Well, that's that was unfortunate. I missed out on that. What's that?
You feel bad for me?
I do. I feel bad for you. I feel bad for
terrible.
everybody who hasn't gotten this great game.
I spent a lot of money on all this stuff. A lot of money. And it's just it's just not.
You have to wait.
Patience.
Yeah,
I know, but it's just like, man, if Roy's getting his copy, what's so special about Roy besides being the clean-shaven face and the spiky hair and you know,
whatever, man, whatever.
All right,
too much.
Awesome.
Too much.
Well, I can talk about the game that I've played, and this is a game that's currently on Kickstarter now, and that is Tiny Epic Zombies. I got a chance to play this with Trevor, and we actually have Emerson in chat who actually digitally sculpted the little item meeple stuff for those guys.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah. So, Tiny Epic Zombies is
Emerson did?
Yeah. I didn't know he did all the item meeples, and I was at Board Game Geek Con with him. And we were sitting down playing Tiny Epic Quest, and he's like, "Oh, these turned out really good." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I made these." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about, Emerson?" He's like, "Yeah, I digitally sculpted all these little item meeple things." And I'm like, "What? You're the best!" So I was flipping out when I learned that, and now I've been even more crazy about it because Emerson's such a great guy. I'm just like, "Yeah, Emerson, way to go."
That guy is so mean, I swear.
Yeah, you know.
even when he gets mad or like uses foul language, it's still like the sweetest thing ever. It's weird. It's really weird. Only one time in my life did I hear Emerson ever use foul language.
Oh, that was the best.
We were playing Secret Hitler, and it still was like, if I were to ever get cussed out, I'd want Emerson to do it because like it didn't happen to me, but I still felt uplifted after he yelled at the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tiny Epic Zombies.
Dude's a classy dude.
He's awesome.
in my preview, I said I'm not like the hugest fan of zombies. I know Rob's like a super fan of like zombie themes, but this is a zombie game in a tiny box. But it's really cool because it's got lots of different modes of play. You can play solo, you can play it cooperatively, you can play it one versus many, where one player is playing the zombie and trying to like determine where the zombies pop up on the board, and then you can also play it where you're playing with the different survivors against each other, and you're all trying to complete scenarios before the other players. So it has tons of different modes of play.
Oh, that's cool.
And the main thing is you're playing in a mall, and you have these cards laid out that are the different stores in the mall out as the board. And you have your little item meeple guys, and you're going around trying to complete 3 different scenarios. And there are, I think, like 9 scenarios in the box. So it's things like, hey, you're trying to find like the exit to the mall, or you're trying to help escort the military back to the courtyard of the thing, and you have like these little tokens that are moving, and as they're moving along, they're killing zombies for you and then trying to get them back to the center. You have ones where you're trying to like find the cure, and you have to like go to different locations and flip over tokens to try to get different ingredients for the cure, but you have to do them in the right order, so you're trying to search the different places. There's ones where you're trying to like help rescue stranded survivors, and there's like, you put these stranded tokens, they get shuffled up and the zombie player places them out, and one of those tokens is the stranded person and the other one is a zombie, and it's like a 50-50 shot of whether you're going to hit a zombie or the right person, but you gotta hope to go to the right place, and then you have to like do that multiple times to complete that scenario. There's one where you're trying to figure out what the cause of the outbreak was, and there's several different causes, and one will be placed on the token and the rest will be placed around on the board, and you're trying to discover the ones that aren't it, so that way, and at any time you can make a guess on which one is actually it, but if you guess wrong, everybody gets hurt and you have to start over. But if you guess right, then you've completed that scenario. So it's like lots of different modes or different scenarios and ways that this game plays, and for a zombie game, I thought it was really intriguing, just the way everything works. If you're playing like one versus many, the zombie player's like trying to play cards that there's these search cards that have all sorts of different like weapons and items and things on it that you're playing out. The zombie player's playing them on the different players. They also have a little icon on it that it like shows each different type of store, and it's basically called causing or creating noise. And if that person's meeple is in that store, when you flip that card over, they get to put extra zombies out that turn. So they're trying to figure out where you're going when they play these cards out. And then
that's cool.
And then you also get to collect all your tropey like zombie fighting weapons, like baseball bats with barbed wire around them, and like chainsaws and different types of guns and weapons and things that you get to. Have you seen the item meeples from the different Tiny Epic games, Chad?
I've got Tiny Epic Quest.
Yeah.
And,
so it's got all these sorts
and I
of
backed
things.
Zombies, so I'm getting to get that one.
Oh yeah. So as a person who's not a fan of the zombie genre, I know a lot of people love it, but I'm not that big on the theme. I still really enjoyed the game, so I think it's definitely one that people should look out. And I just think it's crazy how much game that Gambling Games and Scott Alms can fit into these boxes. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw you posting that, and now, if I can be honest, I'm a little upset that you haven't shared that with me. Especially when you posted, like, yeah, man, I've had this for a while. I just couldn't say anything.
I thought I always forget what I tell you and don't tell you.
You did not tell me that, because there's other stuff you've told me, and I haven't said anything. But I'm a little hurt because, I'm a sucker for zombies. I'm super excited for this game. And as soon as I saw that post on Instagram, I went on Kickstarter and I backed it, especially for the fact that, like, I'm trying to be good this year on Kickstarter. I'm not trying to back so much, but like for $25, I think it was like $30 after shipping for everything that you get in the game. And it's coming out this year. Super excited for it. So
yeah, totally cool.
Gameling guys, man, they do good stuff.
Mr. Coe, he's a good one.
Nice.
Do you have so you're like independent, right, Chad? Like you're not like just freelance. Like you're a freelance artist, right?
Correct. Yes, I work for myself.
I know I'll ask you this question later.
We're getting into it right now. So let's go ahead and get into sculpting miniatures. So how did you start sculpting board game miniatures?
Kind of a lucky thing, I guess. I was just about the time that Jerry Hawthorne was talking about this weird little idea about little mice running around on a dungeon crawl. I was trying to learn how to sculpt miniatures at that time. Mm-hmm. I'd always been a miniature painter and converting miniatures and things like that. And him being my buddy and throwing those ideas at me, I was like, here, let me sculpt you a little mouse. And so I sculpted him a little mouse, and he showed it to Colby Dock of Plaid Hat Games. And like a week later, I had my first commission for miniatures for a board game, and I had sculpted exactly ever in my life.
Yeah.
It just kind of fell in my lap. So, and that's kind of how everything started. And it worked for a couple of years in my spare time, doing a few games here and there when I could, and then somehow convinced my wife to let me quit my job. So yeah, that was fun. But that's how everything went. And then I worked, several Plaid Hat Games after that, and then started getting jobs from other people who, knew my name because of Mice and Mystics. And
yeah.
So yeah, that's been my launch pad. So it's been awesome. Yeah.
That's awesome. So if people are wondering, like, what are a bunch of the different games that you've worked on and done the miniatures for, do you have like a list or some of them you could just throw out for us?
Sure. Obviously, Mice and Mystics.
Mm-hmm.
I did Emerson's games, Spectre
Ops. Those miniatures are so good.
Yeah. I didn't get to do the other ones, but I did Spectre Ops.
Gotcha.
I did BioShock for them. The little game they did for BioShock or for Spectre Ops.
For Spectre Ops.
No, unfortunately, that was one of the ones
he had to do
fell.
that digital.
Yeah, so I missed out on that, but I'll get there. I did a fun little game for 8th Summit. Do you guys remember Run Fight or Die?
Yeah. Rob loves that game.
I love that game. My wife, actually, she plays that game a lot with me just because it's so simple. And I got that game. Did you do it with Gray Fox when Gray Fox owned them?
All I know is Justin.
It was the 8th Summit guys or whatever, and then they licensed it out to Gray Fox.
Yeah, the only person I ever dealt with was Justin. So.
Gotcha.
Oh man, I have. It was my very first Gen Con I ever went to. I saw that game on display, and that figure that you just showed, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is awesome. So I got that. I got the 5th and 6th player expansion. I got the extra zombie expansion. It's like 200 plus minis. Oh man, I got a bunch of it. And in fact, I just played it like less than 6 months ago. It's a fun, simple game. Like that's a good game, especially if you're trying to intro people into hardcore games, because you have to make some tough decisions when you have like 20 zombies coming at you and they're on that second level.
Yeah.
Like, crap, what do I do? I really need to do this. But those zombies, I can't kill 20 next turn. Such a fun game.
Yeah.
That's awesome, game. Man. I'm glad you were part of it.
I did. Yeah, that was fun. That was one of the first games I did outside of Plaid Hat.
Nice.
Some of the more well-known names, I guess, might be Cthulhu Pandemic. I did all the heroes.
Oh, nice.
Cthulhu Pandemic. Fate of the Elder Gods. I did most of the figures for that. There's a few that were not done by me. Some of the creatures, but the big Cthulhu and all the heroes and the cultists. I did all those.
That's awesome.
More recently, speaking of Gamelin, I did all the ones for Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea.
There's a ton of miniatures in that game.
Yeah, I did a lot of work for them. Yeah.
Love. That's another Kickstarter I'm excited to come in. But Roy is good friends with those guys, and so he got his hands on an early copy.
Yeah, I've been painting up my different stuff for Heroes right now. So.
Oh, really?
It's such.
You gotta You got to post those pictures to me. I'll have to friend you on Facebook because I want to see that. I've only seen 1 or 2 painted miniatures, so that's pretty cool. There's a bunch of mine. I don't know if you can see this little rack back here. There's a bunch of them up there.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're
not painted yet because I don't have time for that to work on. So I did Heroes of the Land, Air, and Sea. I'm finishing up a couple of figures I did Vast, Crystal Caverns.
Nice, yeah.
And I'm finishing up some expansion stuff for them. And then it hasn't been shown yet, but I also just completed working on the new restoration game.
I saw that Justin was posting about that.
Which one?
Yeah.
Fireball Island.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's from Restoration Games.
So
I'm really excited.
It was my very first digital job.
Oh, nice.
So, that'll be fun.
Nice.
The most well-known other, a few other little things. I don't know if you see. Golly. I've done quite a few that aren't published yet, so I can't really, talk too much.
Nobody listens. You could talk about them on the show. Nobody listens. You're
fine. Yeah. Nobody watches your podcast. No.
Yeah.
I did. I got some stuff out there that hasn't been published by Ape Games yet, and Artana, and a couple other places that are still working on stuff that with my figures in them. So that's cool.
Gotcha.
But it's been a lot of fun, a lot of new stuff. That's one of the cool things is I'm never ever doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every figure is different. There's no assembly lining here.
That's awesome. Yeah, because you'll create one miniature.
That's a very important part of it.
You'll create one miniature, and then it'll go and become like 10 to 15 miniatures in the game, or more, depending on the game. In a zombie game, a bajillion of the same guy over and over again. But that's really cool. What would you say was your most fun or most challenging game to work on?
So that.
Hey, Chad, can you hear us, man?
Uh-oh.
Oh, the audio.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Up there for a minute.
Chad, we love you so much. Come back.
Oh,
no. What would you
say? Choppy a little bit, but I can hear you.
What game would you say was the most fun or most challenging to work on?
There you go. Probably the most challenging I think I ran into probably early on, the first few games that I did, because I didn't have a clue what I was doing. It was really a trial by fire because like I said, one crappy little Indiana Jones figure and a little mouse. The mouse was very cool. The Indiana Jones was crappy. And then I was just kind of, lit myself on fire there. So that was probably the most challenging of those few games. Dungeon Run, that was the one I was trying to think of.
Oh, yeah.
One of Plaid Hat's early games. Yeah. And Mice and Mystics, those were my first two. And golly, those were tough. So challenging there would probably be those. I think, and right now, another trial by fire, getting comfortable with digital work.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty challenging because the program is just it's so huge and mind-boggling, getting your head around it. But so that's challenging. I think probably the most fun I had was probably Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, because that artwork for the figures was just phenomenal stuff. And I'm trying to remember the artist. It's not Scott Alms. That's the designer. It is Adam McIver. Yeah, I think.
I was about to say, I got the box right there. I can go grab the rule book.
Believe it's Adam McIver. Yeah, just great artwork. Ton of fun to do those. So much character.
Yeah.
Thanks for my figures. So that's probably fun. All those zombies for Run Fighter Die 2. Those were great. So that would be my answer there. Fun and challenging. Yeah.
Nice. So you've talked a lot about like the whole digital over regular sculpting. What?
Yeah.
So you say certain companies only work with digital and such. What's it like to like switch over in between those different mediums, and what's the reasoning for wanting one style over the other?
Well, there's interesting considerations for both. In traditional medium clays and such, you have a physical object that you have to transfer 99.9% of the time to China, which can be expensive and scary when you're talking about original sculpts.
Mm-hmm.
So digital clearly wins in that area because all you got to do is send them a file.
Yeah.
But you also end up with an extra cost of having to print the piece. So it's a little more expensive to print, so because you have that extra cost that doesn't exist with traditional, but it's a ton safer.
As far as the shipping and stuff goes.
And so that's one of the things, and just there's so much that you can do in digital sculpting. I mean, it's just entirely sky's the limit. There are tons of parts of sculpting that are so much easier to do in digital, so much faster, and changes are easier, things like that.
There's an undo button.
There's an undo button. It's amazing. Yeah, I've caught myself when, on my traditional table going, man, I wish I could just.
So are we doing the traditional type of audio on this podcast? Is this more the digital audio?
It's Cylon audio is what we're going for here today. We're bringing it back old school, guys. See, I think Skype just can't keep up with how awesome Chad is. Yeah, you're so awesome, Chad.
Yeah,
that
that's it.
Skype just can't keep up with how awesum you are. I mean, that's just.
I'm trying to live up to Steve Avery's, level of of crappy Skype.
I will tell you that
you don't approve.
Yeah, and I love Steven, but you've surpassed Steven.
What?
Oh, I beat him.
No,
Oh,
has. You haven't yet, because the call hasn't dropped like 3 times. Like when we had Steve on, the call dropped like 3 or 4 times, and it took us like 3 hours to do anything because we just couldn't. We just couldn't get him back on the thing. But,
no!
But no.
So I don't know how much you got on my last rant there about digital, but
we got a decent amount.
Let me know.
I'll try to chop things up and make things sound a little bit better for our audio folks out there, so it'll be fun.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's interesting because sometimes, like right now, it's working fine. So I don't know.
I know, it's great. Yeah, your talking matches your face. It's perfect.
That's what we strive for here.
What's that?
So that's what we strive for here. The talking to match the face.
Yes.
So what does your process for sculpting a miniature look like?
Well, the very first thing that needs to happen is I got to have something good to look at. So I need some good art. Once I've got that, when I'm sculpting traditional, then I'll basically I build a skeleton. I don't really I don't have one that I could show, but
it's like made out
build a
of
skeleton.
wire.
Yeah. Wire and then I stick it together with some really drying putty, so that it's. I'm usually just because with I'm surprised by the number of people who think play most. I think we might be gone. Did I lose you guys?
Yeah, it's like still crazy choppy. I'm
Hey,
sorry,
can we
man.
do this? Can we pause the show and then just have Chad call us back?
Yeah, we can turn off Skype and then turn it back on, and maybe that'll help.
Because your video and stuff is fine. It's just the audio where you keep cutting in and out.
I'll end the
I mean,
call, and then we can bring the call back up.
Yeah, so everybody in chat, we're coming back.
Yeah, Emerson's like, "Hey, let's start the entire thing over."
Jolly old fella.
Very excited about this.
Did you guys hang up? No?
No, I didn't hang up.
Hang up, Rob. Everybody hang up, and then I'll call everybody back.
I'm sorry. Okay.
There we go. Hey, chat, you guys are the best for hanging out with us through this. This is great. Okay, here we go again. Bring him back up, Skype. I'm in all the windows. There we go. Hey, Rob, how's it going?
Hey, man, it's going good. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, you're not choppy at all. That's great.
Was I choppy before?
No.
Chad was.
Hey, Chad, what's up? Are you here? Nope, ringing. So the internet lines to Texas are very far away. So said that he left.
The crazy thing is though, like when we had our people on from England and stuff, which is a little bit further than Texas, worked fine.
What about we've had people from Australia too? What's the furthest? Australia?
I think Australia. Yeah, because we're East Coast.
Yeah.
And so England wouldn't be that too far-fetched, but Australia would be.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. So, hey, how's everybody doing in chat tonight?
Are we back in?
I mean, I didn't see the point of, like, actually turning off the thing.
Hello?
Hey, Chad, what's going on?
Chad!
There we are. All right.
It's currently working okay. We'll see.
Walt Kippenhuck, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in forever. Hope everything's going well, boss.
We got tons of awesome people in chat. So we were talking about your process of creating these miniatures.
Including the lag. I like that. That was nice, Emerson. Emerson is saying everything is bigger in Texas, including the lag.
Including the sculptors.
Nice. Is that bigger size or a bigger deal because your sculpts are amazing?
Yeah. Hey, I'll take both. How's that?
Awesome. So what do you have to do to make these miniatures? I know we talked a little bit about doing the wire frame and stuff when you're doing traditional miniatures.
Yep, and then just build up from the wire, swords and things like that are usually made separately and then attached at the end of the process or somewhere towards the end of the process. Hands are tough. Hands are one of the toughest things. Faces are tough. But it's just it's just like, I don't know how many artists there are out there. There's tons of them, obviously, but watching the show, it's a general to specific process. So big shapes first and then detail.
Gotcha.
So that's one of the hardest things for me is to not get hyper focused on something and start too much detail too quickly, because things get out of hand, and you don't have your proportions right or whatever. So you gotta dial all that desire to see something finished back, and just be patient with it. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Digitally, it's a little bit different. You don't have to worry about an armature because nothing. There's no gravity. So you just start mushing shapes around until they look like what you want them to. It's really kind of cool.
So when you're using the thing, do you use like a graphic tablet and stuff like that as well with like pen?
Yeah, here's my pen.
Nice.
I've got an old piece of crap tablet, but as long as it has some pressure sensitivity, it'll work. Hopefully I'll be able to upgrade soon, but we'll see.
So do the same skills required to do the traditional stuff, does that translate easily over to the digital, or is it just a completely different world like the Wild West when you switch over to that sort of thing?
It's a completely different world, but the process of general to specific remains. You do big primitive shapes into the shape, and start trying to put the shape onto it that you're trying to match, and then you start doing detail. So those two things are the same, but and it's there's some sort of sameness once you do get a good shape, because then just like in regular traditional sculpting, you can add a little bit and then shape it, add a little bit of clay and then shape it. So the interface that they've created for ZBrush is pretty interesting, that it sort of kind of mimics what you're doing physically, but the things that you can do after that, they're just, I can divide up that model into 100 pieces and work on each one separately and whatever I need to do. It's a whole different world. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about your stuff drying out too fast or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, I don't have to bake anything. I just have to push send. But you also open up a whole new world of different things like resolution you have to worry about, and does the piece have enough resolution to carry the detail that you want? How to manipulate that resolution to your advantage. So, so there's I think in general, I heard beforehand, before I really got into digital, that it's easier to go to digital from traditional sculpting than to just start out as a digital sculptor.
Right.
I guess just because of some of the understanding you gain from traditional sculpting. And I would tend to agree with that now that I'm more into it, and I'm starting to try and get my head around it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I paint a lot of miniatures and stuff here and there. Not a lot, but I dabble with painting miniatures, and I look at these sculpts and I'm like, I would never be able to do anything, because painting miniatures is like coloring in a coloring book, and like sculpting is like making the entire coloring book, So
yeah.
So it's just like, I'm always amazed by like all the details that you sculptors are able to put in these miniatures and make them look so amazing. It's really cool.
Yeah, I've always looked at it as kind of an engineering thing. You have to engineer a way for the part to look like what it's supposed to, when it's really not it. So especially when you start magnifying, which you have to do, you see it's just, you're faking it. I mean, because you can't really, at that size, you can't really make a thing what it really looks like. You have to fake it. It's all witchcraft.
That's awesome. Yeah, and everything's just so tiny. It's just like, when you're doing traditional stuff, do you use like magnifying glasses and everything like that to?
Oh Lord, I'm 46 years old. Of course I use magnification.
You got the.
I'll tell you what's different about being old is that I didn't used to have to use magnification to paint miniatures, and now I do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the details on these things are getting more and more fine. Like, everybody's going to have to use the tiniest little brushes with.
Yeah, but it just, especially with digital pushing things so hard, miniatures are just getting better and better and better. So
gotcha.
It's just more possibilities. So.
So you work a lot with different publishers. Is there a lot of back and forth with the publisher while you're just sculpting and with like design approval and things like that? What does that relationship look like?
Yeah, it's really different for a lot of companies. Sometimes you get somebody who they're just like, oh, that's great. And sometimes you get somebody who wants to move a foot a millimeter, oh, that foot's not in the right position. It just depends. It can be, you get an art director who's really stickler. You can spend a lot of time making changes.
I'm going to tell Isaac what you said. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh God, Isaac. No. So I think, I'm trying to think, I haven't had too many just terrible, I have had some people make some changes that just
like,
made me grit my teeth.
That means I have to start over.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but now with digital though, I mean the changes and all that stuff, I would imagine would be a lot easier.
Oh my gosh, it's insanely easier to make a change, especially a big change like, I want this, this arm's not going to print, so we got to move it from here to there. Well, I can do that in about, 2, 3, 5 minutes, and then smooth out the stretching that happens when you do that. So, and then with an armature, you got to break the armature, and then it's definitely easier in digital. So.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
But as far as back and forth with publishers go, it just really depends on how sticky they are with how they want it to look. Some of them are got their hands more into how they want it to look, and so they're more apt to make changes for you.
So normally,
some are not.
Normally, do you just get like an illustration, like a one-sided 2D illustration, and they say, "Hey, make a 3D model out of this"?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. Every now and then, you'll have somebody who wants to, who's hired an artist who's familiar with the process of making miniatures, and so they'll go ahead and give you a couple of different views, but that's pretty rare in board games right now. I'm sure that's going to change in the future because artists are going to be more familiar with the miniature making process. But there's so many artists out there, it's not going to be that quick. But in general, yeah, 1 2D picture and here, make your miniature. So, in general,
all right.
I'll just smile until you guys are ready again.
It's doing okay for a second. It was cutting out there for a bit. So you've gotten really good at like seeing the front side of a miniature and just making up the back of them.
Yeah, and you just make it up as I go. I guess. I mean, if they really, I usually tell them, if there's something you want back there specifically, then I need a picture of it or a drawing of it or a description of it or whatever. But if they don't, then I just put back there whatever my little heart desires.
Has there ever been any time when they're like, hey, we want you to do the character design or anything like that, where you've been able to create from scratch, or do you always go off of illustrations from illustrators who've already done like the concept of the design beforehand?
I've had 1 or 2 clients. Matter of fact, I'm working on a job right now where the artwork is not. It's just a sketch by the game designer.
Gotcha.
Like, who's not an artist. Like, I've got this crazy little idea, and that's what I'm working from. So I'm kind of designing there too. I generally like it because. To do it that way, but I'm more, because I'm really not that much of a designer. I can draw and stuff, but I would rather have a pro do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, hey, it's a job, so I'm doing it, and I'm gonna make them look good. So, so in general, I don't like to do that. I've only had a few people, because generally when someone sends me an email and says, "Will you do some miniatures for me?" I'll say, "Yeah, you send me smart."
Nice. That's awesome.
So yeah, not my favorite thing to do, but I'll do it if I need to. Yeah.
So, how do the miniature sculpts like look? Are they any different from like the final product when you're making those? Like, are there certain like choices you make depending on like how they're going to be produced and things like that?
Yeah, there's some things that I try to keep in mind for the production process, because a couple of things happen when you go, especially when you go to plastic. One is you lose a tiny bit of size. A plastic part is just the teeniest, like point something millimeters smaller than the original. You also have to worry about the depth of your detail. If it's not deep enough, the scan won't pick it up when they scan it to the steel mold. So you got to worry about small details have to be bigger than you would imagine, especially things like hands. Hands got to be big. Heads and faces got to be big. If those were actually done in proportion at the size of most of these miniatures, they would be, you just totally unreadable. So those things, a lot of things have to be exaggerated that you wouldn't really think of, especially depth-wise, like belts and straps and things. In real life they're real thin, but down there they got to be really big. And the shafts of weapons are just gigantic at that size. I mean, if those were scaled up, you'd be holding a sword like this. It's like crazy. So
I thought it was just to make everything look more epic, giant swords.
That's right. Yeah.
Giant hands, heroic. Giant heads.
Yeah, everything more heroic, man. That's the way. So yeah. So those are some of the things you got to think about. You also got to think about, and I'm not the best at this, but I try to pay attention to it as much as I can, and that is the plane of the mold and what part's going to get trapped in the mold and what part has to become a separate piece away from the main body of the sculpt so that it can be cast. So those are things that cost the production, cost more in production if they have to be parted out. So I try and do my best to keep get that down to a minimum. I should probably go to China for like a month and work in one of those factories and really get the lowdown on what has to happen here and there, because it would help. But,
so that way you could see their process and exactly what they're doing with the miniatures or with the files or whatever to see.
Yeah. So Panda, if you guys out there, just bring me over to China. I'll come by. Fly me out, man. Fly me out.
You've got enough games under your belt at this time.
Yeah.
Chad's not going nowhere. He's just going to keep making games, or making the miniatures for games.
Right.
That
is. So yeah, that's trying to think of what else to think about when you're for the production. And those are some of the things that like if you're having miniatures go to metal or resin.
Oh yeah.
Some of those things aren't as big a deal. You don't have to worry too much about what they call undercuts for metal, because
Gotcha.
the mold is flexible, whereas a plastic mold is stainless steel. A metal mold is plastic, and not plastic, but rubber. So when they open it, it'll bend around the undercut parts. I don't know how much of it's making any sense, but
it makes sense to me.
It comes out of the mold.
I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos on that sort of stuff.
Because it's flexible, it comes out easier. Yeah. Well, really, which ones? I need to watch some stuff.
I don't know. Like, I watch like random like people like how to make your own mold at home. I don't know. It's stuff that like I'll probably never do, but I always find it really interesting because like, oh, this is cool. This is like people custom making molds and like building like making extra miniatures or whatever for different things. It looks pretty cool. But
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. I've
So-
tried to make a few molds, but
yeah. It's definitely a lot of work. It seems like.
a lot of stuff. Yeah. A lot of stuff.
You've done tons of different IPs on several different board games. Is there an IP or genre of miniatures that you would love to make a game in?
Yes, I want to do cowboys so bad.
Oh yeah.
I want to sculpt some cowboys. I don't care for who, but I'd want to. I'm gonna end up having to make my own damn game. Sorry for the cursing, yeah. I really want to do cowboys. I would like to do cowboys. So if there's anybody out there making a cowboy game, I would do that. Second on my list would probably be some sort of piratey stuff. I've never done any pirates, so there's a couple of piratey stuff going on in Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, but it's not the whole thing.
Oh yeah. You have like the swashbuckler girl with the big long
with the
rapier
peg
or
leg.
whatever. Yeah. She gets like bonuses for sailing ships and stuff like that. So
I'm sorry to say I have not gotten to play that game. That's on the way. I'm supposed to be getting a copy soon. So
I was say you're with most of the people out there.
Yeah. There's Robert going, yeah, me too.
Hey, Rob got to play it with us. We played it live on the Dice Towers live stream, so he got a chance to play it with me.
Nice.
He played the cat folk, and I played the lizard people. I'm pretty sure I really like the lizard people. I like the undead a lot too, but I really like the sculpts that you did on all those lizard guys. They're really cool.
Yeah, they were fun. I think my favorite miniature was the Gamelin, the Sir Gamelin.
Oh yeah,
so awesome.
I painted up my Gamelin.
Did you? Oh, let me see.
Let me see if I
He's grabbing them.
But let me get that actual.
Oh
Skype
man.
view. So he's hard to see what's going on here.
Focus.
Yeah, I can't get to focus.
Oh, dude.
But yeah, there's my little Gamelin guy.
Yeah.
Do you have him on Instagram?
Yeah, I have pictures of him on Instagram and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely fun. Like all these different cool miniatures to like paint them up and things like that.
Yeah. And I guess the holy grail someday, I need to do something for Cool Mini. That would be great.
Is that like when you know you've made it, the company that started off of like judging different miniatures types when they're like, okay, we're gonna do your thing. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I still have stuff on Cool Mini. Matter of fact, my mouse that I sculpted for Jerry Hawthorne is up on Cool Mini or not still after all these years. And a little Hulk that I did that I converted. I love Cool Mini or not. They're great, and their miniatures are amazing. And if I ever, I'll feel like I made it if I ever get to sculpt for them. So.
All right, I'll make a call.
Yeah, please do.
You gotta get on this.
I don't think they have any lack of. Yeah, they don't have a lack of good sculptors, but man, I tell you what, good stuff.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
So what's it like to see different people paint up miniatures that you sculpted in like a bunch of different paint styles and different ways like that online? Because I know there's been tons of posts of like Mice and Mystics miniatures getting painted up like all over the place, and everybody has their own style and flavor for it. What's that feel like?
Yeah, it's kind of surreal. It's like I'm always very appreciative to see that something I did was cool enough for somebody to spend time painting it. It's kind of I mean, I don't really know what else to say on that. It's just,
and then you're like, man, I wish I had enough time to paint my own miniatures.
Run across it on Facebook. Yeah. And the weird part is people will like link it to me. Like if they see something, they'll link it to me, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But it's like they don't know that I did it. You know what I mean? And it's not. I'm not gonna go in there and toot my own horn. Oh, that's cool. I sculpted dolls. But it's really fun to see.
Awesome.
I always do that.
What
I can't wait to see more Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea.
Oh yeah, for sure. What would you say your average time on like making like one human-sized miniature would be? Does it depend on the detail, or how long do you think it takes?
Yeah, it depends on the detail for the most part, but in general, to make a living, I need to do one in a little less than 2 days.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Which is tough. but yeah, that's kind of the pace that I need to work at. So that's not too bad though. And I can do it.
Cool. That's awesome. So do you ever get to play many of the games that you sculpted the miniatures for?
I'm trying to think if there's any that I haven't, except for the newer ones, like
right, the ones that aren't public yet.
Which ones are those again?
Yeah.
Well, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. That's one.
Yeah. I haven't played Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, but it's not completely out yet. So
right.
I do, yeah. You know what? Actually, truth be told, I've never played Fate of the Elder Gods, or Cthulhu Pandemic. My goodness. But yeah, pretty much, because I usually get a copy just for being involved. So, or I ask for one anyway. I don't know. I don't just expect them to give it to me. I do ask, but
you should.
Yeah. I like to be able to. I mean, it's easy to justify. I want to be able to pull the miniatures and show them to people and say, look what I did.
A good thing to have for your portfolio, by being able to have a stack of games. It's like, this is Chad's miniature portfolio. Is this stack of games right here?
There's some of them right back there, up on the shelf.
Nice.
So yeah, I in general, I'd like to imagine that I've played most of them. Yeah.
Awesome. So, getting away from just games that you create miniatures in, what would you say is your all-time favorite tabletop game?
Been dreading this one, man. It's so hard to pick.
I mean, it doesn't have to be just board games, but
yeah. It's tough. You play. I don't know about you guys, but I get to play games once, maybe once a week. Sometimes not. Once every 2 weeks or whatever. So it's tough to say, wow, that game's cool, and then play it a bunch more. Favorite.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is right now is Shadespire.
Oh, nice. We just had Sam on the podcast, and he was talking a lot about Shadespire.
Familiar with it, but my miniatures paint I haven't done in many, many, many years. I lost you again.
We're good. I think it's back now.
Yeah. So I don't know how much of that you got.
You were talking about Shadespire. I heard the word Shade Spire, so.
I really like the game. It's got a lot of interesting parts and pieces to it. For being a fairly simple game, about bashing in the other guy with your miniatures. But the card play, I think is and it's kind of a deck building thing. So you make your own way with your deck. So
that's awesome.
All-time favorite game, I don't know if I could pick, but
Cool. Well,
I'm sorry, man.
It's all good.
Send me that figure.
We were doing really good there for a little while. I think we got a decent amount of solid content. So,
yeah.
But before we close this thing out, are there any upcoming projects or anything you would like to talk about before we shut this thing down? Are there any games that people should check out coming out that have your miniatures in it?
The expansion for Vast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the expansion. Can't wait for them to announce and start showing those pieces, and start getting feedback on my digital stuff. So that'll be great.
Nice.
But other than that, I mean, so which is cool. Done some spaceshipy stuff, but no titles.
Oh man.
Spaceshipy stuff.
Don't do it, Rob. I know what you're thinking because you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Don't do it, Rob.
Is that samurai?
Nah, don't even say.
No, he didn't do the samurai one because.
Well, he may not be able to talk about it yet, but he said he started working with digital. Could this be one of those digital?
Do samurai. I wish.
I think that was digital.
I wish. No, unfortunately, I missed out on Starship Samurai. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I was thinking after the podcast.
Maybe
Rob.
Hopefully, I'll be ready to do the next one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Roy, you got some.
So, yeah, that's about it.
Hype. Awesome. Well, definitely love your miniatures. Like I've been painting them. I haven't spent 2 days worth painting a miniature. But I definitely love your miniatures and stuff, and definitely gonna love to check out more of the new games that you guys have coming out. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a blast. If somebody wants to like check
Thanks
you
for
out,
inviting me. I appreciate it.
If anybody wants to hit you up, where could they find you, like on social media and stuff?
Facebook is my primary mode of showing my stuff right now. I'm thinking about switching to ArtStation, but I haven't done that yet. And that would be either my name, Chad Hoverter, or the name of my company is DMG Miniature Factory. So you can find that on Facebook fairly easy, and I've got all my miniatures, almost all my miniatures that I'm allowed to show are up there. So
nice, that's awesome. Cool, man.
If you contact me through there, then yeah.
Thanks again so much for coming on. We stream these.
Sorry for the troubles.
It's all good, man. Thanks everybody in chat for sticking around. We have a ton of people watching.
Good minis. We would tell you, we would just have hung up on you. But the fact that you do what you do, we're willing to put up with it.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you.
We buy games for the minis. We love minis. And
for sure.
It means a lot. And some of our favorite games, like Spectre Ops, hands down, my favorite search and destroy type of game.
Yeah, it's definitely in my
Heroes of Landaren Sea, one of my favorite 4X games out there. And that's because of you. But as soon Chad, as soon as your stuff starts to drop in quality, you're not allowed back.
Okay.
As soon as it starts to drop, you're done. But until then, you're good.
I hope that never happens, my friend.
I don't think it will. But I'm just letting you know, you've set the bar high.
Man. Thanks so much. I appreciate it, you guys. Thanks for having me on. It was fun. I hope it was y'all's fault on the connection, not mine.
It was completely our fault.
Completely our fault.
Nah, thanks for having me, guys. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
It was fun.
We stream these Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. at youtube.com/Epic Gaming Night. Make sure to hit us up over there. And also, we want to thank our patrons for helping support Epic Gaming Night. If you want to support Epic Gaming Night, make sure to check us out at patreon.com/Epic Gaming Night. And also make sure to check out Favorite Game Friday and our reviews over on the Dice Tower Network. You can check that out at the Dice Tower YouTube channel. And yeah, this has been a blast, guys. Thanks so much for checking us out. And we'll see you guys next time.
Yes.
Take it easy, everybody. Bye, Emerson.
See you later, Chad. You can go to bed knowing you beat Steven.
Yes.
I
was worse than Steven.
No. You were better than Steven.
Oh, better? Okay, good.
Yeah. You don't want the Razzie. Yeah.
I was about to say, it'll be hard to beat Steve Avery on that. So.
No,